Okay, I'm Moshe Parry. Sinai and I go back also to this institution before I was a member in good standing, or whatever standing I am to this day. I remember walking in right after Pesach, I think it was 1979, and I walked in to see my friends Eliyahu and Akiva, who are in the dorms here, and there sitting on the bed was Sinai Julian. I never laid eyes on him in my life. And I said something to Akiva about, I don't remember, I don't know if Akiva remembers, like, Mincha's in 15 minutes, and I was just like, wearing my black hat, and I'm really, and I walk away, and Sinai says, who is that? I heard later. Who is that? I said, that's just Moshe Parry. He's very religious. And he says, he needs to chill out. And so he remembered that, though. And then 2 years later, I was in New York, and I was working, and I saw him and his then wife at that time at a market that I went into, G & Sons on New Utrecht in 42nd or 7th or something like that. Anyway, and he recognized me, remembered me right away, and he came over and we became chavrusas and we became friends. And Sinai, really, it's unusual late in life for anybody to become like your brother. He's like the older brother I never had. I'm the older brother of my siblings, my brother and my sisters. And so he was the older brother I never had. And he, like you're saying, we could talk about anything, and we did, about what it was like when we weren't religious. And I remember him talking about why he came to EULA, which is the institution we're in right now to memorialize him, because it's a fitting tribute, because this is where he started learning Torah. He had already learned some Torah, but he did it under conservative auspices. He was very Zionistic. His upbringing, his name was Sinai, after all. And I asked him about that. He says, as a kid, did you get made fun of at school? He says, you're kidding me? They used to call me Seeing Eye Dog, because I started calling him cynical, because Sinai, whatever. So he said, like, my parents weren't religious, but they were very, very Zionistic. They loved the state of Israel. They encouraged me to go there. And I was in the Chavur Noar, and I was in all these youth groups in Alhambra, where he was born and raised. And so he started talking about coming to EULA, because he was already teaching, I think it was in Free Jewish High School. Yeah, whatever it's called, Jewish High. LA Jewish High School. And so he wanted more Talmud. He wanted more understanding of Gemara in order to round out his education. He already felt, I know it all. I'm not interested in the religion part. I just want to know the wisdom part so I can impart it to my students, because we believe what we believe and we're on this derech. And so slowly, the way he described it to me, slowly he would, say, see you guys later, and I'm going home for Shabbos now. I'm not keeping Shabbos, and he'd take off Friday afternoon after a whole week of learning. And slowly but surely he started seeing that there's more to it than just the wisdom. There's some kind of spiritual content and some kind of conduit to the wisdom connected with the spirituality. And he started coming here for a Shabbos. They used to have Shabbaton, some of the greatest Shabbatons, by the way, that I personally experienced. We're in the EULA dorm in Shabbos here for the college program that they had here in Yeshiva University, Los Angeles. Anyway, so he started to be really affected by it, and he came to a point. He was always, one thing you have to say about Sinai, if he saw something as true, he was willing to change. He was open-minded. He was intellectually honest. If you could prove something to him, and it was very hard, like some of the speakers have said, he was very smart, razor sharp. But if you could prove something to him, he would change. And he was at the point, after his encounter here with Rabbi Meiselman and all the Rebbeim here, he was at a point where he said, yeah, I got to start keeping Shabbos, and I got to keeping kashrus. But this is the quintessential Sinai. So he says, you know what I'm going to do, though? I'm going to go around to all my favorite restaurants one last time. The great hurrah, the great goodbye. And so he went to Andre's, if people know what that is, the French restaurant. He went to El Coyote, the Mexican restaurant, on Monday, on Tuesday. And on Thursday night, he went to the Dodger game with his roommate. And here he is, he's saying to me, I'm sitting in the stands watching the Dodger game. I'd just taken a bite of this hot dog. I had another hot dog in my hand. And my roommate says to me, look at the yeshiva bacher eating a Dodger dog. And he said, couldn't you wait till I finished to say that? And he threw them both down until his dying day. He never ate another treif thing in his life. That was Sinai. He proved it to him. He immediately made the adjustment. The other thing that I was close to him in New York most of the time, after I moved back here, so he made many trips here for his mother, etc. And so we were close here too. But our main relationship was in New York in the mid '80s, mid to late '80s. And so he got me my job at Pilim. He was working for Pilim at the time. This is an organization that was started by Rav and Cutler from Lakewood, and they would go out to raise money in America in all the yeshivas. The kids would win prizes, and they would go out to raise as much money as possible for immigrants, Sephardic kids mostly, or became Russians and Iranians in the later '80s when we were doing it together. And they would bring them to Israel, and they make programs for them, or they build yeshivas for them, or trade schools, and help their families out. And it was a great tzedakah. It is a great tzedakah. And so I saw up close and personal Sinai, like his every motivation in those 2 years that I was around him during that. He was like breathing this. We got to save these kids. They're coming from Russia. They're coming from Iran. He's pushing me. You got to do more. You got to make another trip. Go back out to LA. He was just completely consumed with the dedication that he had and the compassion to wanting to reach out to these kids and save their lives. And he said, you have to look at the job that you're saving these lives. You're not just having fun running around to all the schools and making all the kids excited. You have to tell a real story, and it's a real facts of who these kids are helping, and that's the truth of who you're helping will inspire them to greater heights to raise the money that we need to help these children. The other thing, right after he finished that, is that he started with Yehuda Fein. He started the Jewish Family Services, and Jewish Family Institute. And this was a way, like a direct totzah, a direct outcome of his work with Pilim. Here, instead of raising the money to send to the other workers who were helping the kids, he was on the streets all night long trying to get runaway kids from homes or from whatever off the streets, out of drugs, out of whatever they had fallen into. And he and his friend Yehuda, they built this institution in Brooklyn where they were, I'm telling you, taking their lives in their hand every night to go out and try and save these souls, these Jewish souls. And it was just amazing to watch his growth and his ability to reach out for to feel the pain and go and try and help and remedy the situation, and not just take a back seat and let somebody else take care of it. He saw that nobody was doing this, and he says the mitzvah is on me, and he would go and do it. And so the other thing about Sinai in my personal, right, I was searching for my own path at the time. Things that I'd wanted to do didn't work out. That's why I went to New York in the first place. I never wanted to go to New York. I wanted to stay in LA. And so he took me under his wing. I was like, his like he said, his little brother, and he would talk to me and he would counsel me. He had this way of pointing out things to you, and he would say, you're trying to go on a path that's off the beaten track. It's so much easier to go with the flow, and everybody else is going the beaten track. If you have this vision, you should pursue it, and you should stick to your guns and not give up. And he was totally there encouraging me. Sinai never had a lot of money. There was one tekufa when he had money, but that job didn't last, and that finances dried up. But he would literally give you the shirt off his back. I can't tell you how many weeks I had no place to stay. I stayed in his house in Flatbush with him and Shlomi. That last 2 summers that I was associated with being in New York. He would give you the shirt off his back. He didn't care. Whatever you needed, he would wake up in the middle of the night to go to the airport to pick you up. He was a guy that was there. He wasn't thinking of himself. He was thinking of others. If he was your close associate, your friend, he would go to the ends of the world for you. And that's the way I remember Sinai and all the great times we had together. Too many to really. I just have to remain personal observations and personal feelings. But I just like people said, it's the shock of the whole thing. It was too soon. It was without warning. I didn't even know he was sick, let alone in the hospital and having surgery. and I didn't get to say goodbye. So we decided here in LA we should make a memorial for Sinai, invite as many people as possible that are still here who knew Sinai, as a way of paying fitting tribute to him as well as to his family. And that's why we're trying to tape this, so that Ann and Ellie and the whole family over there can see that we're honoring him. This is where his Judaism started. This is where he discovered the truth of Torah, Judaism. And like Shlomi said, he was going from step to step to step, that he ended up, probably the typical radical Jewish college student of the 60s and 70s, and he became a rabbi. He became an Orthodox rabbi, and he was in Arad, where he was, every day of his life was involved in Kiruv Rechokim. It's just an amazing story. Somebody should write this as a book. Ellie, you should write the story of your father, the Odyssey of Sinai Julian, and I think it'll be a bestseller. And we all miss him, and we're crying for him, and he should only go higher and higher in Shemayim. And everybody should, during this year before the Yortzeit, take on to learn Mishnayos or Gemara or whatever for his memory. Every time by yourself when you're learning, just have Sinai Meir ben Moshe in mind.